Hi everyone, I'm Sloan from SloanBella.com and I'm back with another celebrity channeled energetic video. So this is a channeled celebrity video where the celebrity is still with us, thank God. Okay, so I wasn't going to do this video to begin with until I dreamt of this person and they were talking to me in my sleep last night and I can't get it out of my head. So I thought I'll put it on camera and you guys can decide for yourselves what's going on, because I'm just going to put these pieces together. What I felt, I can't remember what was said, but there was a distinct feeling around this dream. So let me speak about, and I'm sure I was on the astral level with this person, but let me speak about the person I'm starting to talk about. This is yours and my favorite little Canadian singer, Justin Bieber from London, Ontario. He is a Pisces. So this is about him. In my dream last night, and I have to mention this, Justin grew up in London, Ontario, and I have to say it, I went to private girls boarding school in St. Thomas, the next city out. So we would go on our weekend visits to London, Ontario. It's all very small in proximity, and there's just one place in St. Thomas, Ontario, and it was that girls' boarding school. Oddly enough, it burnt down. Completely haunted boarding school, one of the most haunted schools in Ontario was that school. Alma College, in case you care to look it up. Anyway, getting back to Justin Bieber. So I was asleep in my dream and I was in my bed and he was beside my bed, but it wasn't the bed that I actually sleep in. He was on the floor beside me, dressed in clothes like it was during the daytime, and I was on the bed and I was looking down at him like I would my kids when they were, you know, teenagers or whatever, and if they came on the room to do a project or draw on the side of the floor, you know, whatever they were doing, I looked at him like that. He looked to be about 15 or 16 in my communication with him while I was actually asleep, but I don't feel asleep. And he was playing a board game. So there was a board game like Snakes and Ladders. It wasn't Monopoly, it wasn't checkers, it wasn't anything like that. It was like Snakes and Ladders. We were moving up and down and I was watching what he was doing. And as I was watching what he was doing, I was basically telepathically picking up on the feeling around him. And there was this really interesting feeling of, I wish I could go back before this happened. So I got the distinct impression that he wanted to go back to a point in his life before whatever is going on right now. And then I got the really, really kind of eerie feeling that the next several weeks for Justin were going to be very difficult. I wasn't really trusting what was going on. I didn't know if he was being pushed into something he didn't want to be pushed into, or convinced to do something that he doesn't want to do, or, you know, tricked into something. But I do know the month of June is extremely, it teeters with him. It's very precarious, because as I was playing the board game, watching him play the board game, he was going up these ladders and then down, and I didn't quite understand what that meant, but I took it to correlate with what's going on in his life. And he refused to show himself, at least in my dream, as an adult the way that we know him now. He wanted to go back to before the tattoos, before any of those things happened, and he wanted me firmly focused on that is who he was. So I started to ask myself in the midst of my sleep, and can't even remember most of it, but I started to ask myself, what exactly does that mean? And I really felt like he was living in two different dimensions, so to speak, or two different points of reality. How he sees himself and how we see him, who he is, and the struggle for who they want him to be. That is going on right at this second. I got that so strongly. The other thing that I saw with him, and I have no idea what religion he is. I know that he was on the news at some church in Los Angeles, and I'm not talking about that, but I got the distinct impression that he was focused on religiously elevate. I'll use the word religion because it seemed like he was holding rosary beads, and I don't even know if he is Catholic or not. But in this, when I was talking to him, he had them in his hand and he was holding them. They were kind of hidden out of my sight, but it was something he was clutching onto over here. And it was what we would do in times of need or when we needed peace in a religious or a God sense. This is what I felt he was doing. But then he would go back to playing the board game, and he was kind of mumbling and talking to me without ever mumbling and talking to me. So I was picking it up in my own head what he was talking about, and he was stuttering over certain things. Now, I do feel with his energy that he has seen and experienced something that he should not have, because he's trying to erase a whole chunk of his life. That's what I got from that. He's trying to actually remove himself from being connected to this certain point in his life. He wants nothing to do with it at this point. He wants to go back to before it happened. So whatever it is that happened from timing in my dream, it's going to be about the age of 15 with him. Not sure what that was, but at 15, there's a big turning point. I'm going to have to look that year up. I didn't. I just turned the camera on and started talking while it was kind of fresh in my head. So it was around the age of 15, and he wanted to go back to that. The Justin over here, the current contemporary Justin, I can't even grasp onto his energy. So he himself is not presented front-wise. He is behind something. So he is the kid hiding behind the person we see. So there's a split in his personality. He's actually a split person. And I take this to be what happened to him after the age of 15. And I'm looking forward, because he's in his 20s now, or however old he is, 26, 25, I don't know, something like that. Anyway, he's in his 20-something years. So I'm looking to see what the heck can be so bad in your life. But when I try to go there, I'm blocked. So Justin Bieber is caught in an energetic smog. I could see that, because as I saw him playing the board game beside my bed, I was asking, where are you right now? Because I recognized him, but he wasn't the same as the kid that we see now. And what I saw around him, what manifested in my eye line, was basically like a gray square, like an ice cube, but gray and made from smog, but thicker. So it's like his energy was trying to get out of this block of smog ice or smog that was keeping him kind of down and was not where he wanted to be. So I was very, very aware that this kid is not where he wants to be. Now, I worry for him on a lot of different levels. One, because I have read about his emotional breakdowns. But what I found so interesting when I asked what that was about, I do know what that was about. I have been told what that was about, but not by him. When I asked him energetically what that was about, I got the kid talking to me about the board game and talking to me to distract me. So there's something in his psyche that he does not want us to go forward with. So I feel that this kid is teetering on so many things that are emotionally just like a fine thin wire. So we could really go off the rails, or we could go back to being a child. Do you ever watch those movies where the main character is like 50 or 60 and she's walking around like a little kid with her baby doll in her arms, or talking like she's 10 because she's just chunked out a whole part of her life and she won't even go there, so she's going back to where it was happy? That's what he was doing, and he was 15 the last time that he was truly happy. The other thing that I focused on around him, he brought nothing to me that had to do with his marriage. The marriage that he has right now is some sort of business arrangement. It's not my place to say that, and a lot of marriages are a business deal. A woman wants a kid, a guy wants an attractive woman, a woman wants a guy to pay her bills, whatever, a guy wants a woman to pay his bills, whatever it is. There are those kind of business deals, but this is a business deal. This is not a love thing. He's not even with the person he loves. This I could see from the board game, although it wasn't exactly spoken to me, because he was trying to get up the ladders to where he could find the person that he wanted to settle with and have family. And my mind went straight over to these beautiful like lakes and boating and like a lake house and a boat house, and where he wanted to relax and have fun and doesn't have time to do this. And I think it was back in Canada, not here, because unless it's in an area I'm not familiar with, but it really looked Canadian to me. So there's a part of him that really wishes he hadn't stepped forward the way that he did. He's basically was telling me that he did this to himself without realizing what he did to himself. So I don't think the trajectory of where his life has gone is at all what he wanted. I also feel that that marriage is not what it is supposed to be. There is a way more nefarious undertone to it. That girl popped out of nowhere, in my opinion. And it's only my opinion, but the energy of her just popped out of nowhere. And I'm in no way blaming her. She may feel she loves him and he may feel he loves her, but this is a contractual thing, and I can see it. I can see it on a psychic level. She is there to align him with the way that they want him to be aligned. And I'm sure that she was brought into his life to coerce him into continuing with his multi-million-dollar money deals and that kind of thing. It's a matter of time till this kid goes off the rails. I'm worried for him middle of June, 14, 15, 16, and on into July. This doesn't feel safe to me for him. And I'm talking emotionally. I don't mean like anybody's going to hurt him. It just doesn't feel safe to me on an emotional level. I'm very much all over. What they did show me in the dream as well is he was very much surrounded by people on the other side that had passed over. There was a really strong influence of a man on the other side that he used to love when he was very little, who was around him, kind of a big strapping man that had his arms around him. And there were, forgive me for saying it, but this is what I saw. There were angel-like figures. Do I know if they were really angels? I don't, because I just quickly flashed on it. But there were angel-like figures around him that were embracing, and one was weeping over him. And by that, I mean, I could see tears from this woman that looked angelic to me, but she was weeping over him for what he needed to heal. So this was something she was trying to do with the water that was flowing from her, the tears that were coming from her, or what I call tears. I don't really know what that is, but the energy from that, she was trying to heal his energy. This child has been wounded. And when I looked over after I saw that, and I looked over out of the corner of my eye, it was kind of over and down, and I looked over, I saw him, and you could see the smog around his body, his energy body. The smog that I'm referring to around his body had a lot to do with his body's energy trying to untangle itself or step away from what was going on energetically. And I felt like he was locked in, and I'm just going to describe it, a gray ice cube. So think of an ice cube, think of it gray, think of it like a cage without bars, think of it not cold, but smoggy, so I can't really see my way out. This is his confusion right now. So in order to raise his vibration, we actually need to focus on him healing from what's going on. He needs to be told that it's okay for him to heal, and that it's okay for him to focus on what he wants in his life, not what other people want. This is what I got from this board game. But he was playing this board game, and I really took it to be an analogy on the game of life. He chose to play one way, and now he was actually trying to get back to a higher level, which happened before he gained his success and power at the age of 15. He was trying to get back to that which he had come from, is what I really felt. And then he kind of floated out of my dream. So I want everybody to keep their eye on Justin Bieber in the next several weeks, because we are in the month of June right now. We are on the first week of June. It's probably within the next week I see this being activated. And so it is a struggle for him. He needs to heal. The angelic energy around him, actually weeping is what I was seeing from the one angel lady. That's all I know how to call her. And it's a strange thing for me to say. I'm not one to say that. I just don't know how to describe what I saw except to put it in terms like that. It could have been a spirit guide. It could have been one of his dead relatives. But she looked very angelic in the way that she flowed for me, or the way that she looked when I just caught a glimpse of her, and there were tears coming from her eyes over him. So that was to heal him, I felt. That's where we're going with Justin Bieber's energy at the moment. And that's what I've got for you on the Canadian singer and pop kid, Justin Bieber, who's now a grown man. And once again, my name is Sloan from SloanBella.com.